Hello, social workers, mental health professionals, and change agents. Welcome to season 8 of the Social Work Rants podcast. I'm your host, Bash Moreno. Saludos a todos. Greetings, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, tapping in wherever you are watching or listening to this podcast. I appreciate all the love and support. Gracias a todos por su apoyo. We can't believe it's already 4 years of the podcast. Shout out to everybody who's been rocking, everybody who's ever been on the podcast, some of your favorite IG social workers that have been on this podcast. Has been one heck of a journey. So we're gonna keep going. My guest is this time I had the pleasure to be part of the Social Work Wealth Conference that happened. One of my highlights of 2023. If you missed it, you missed it. Don't miss 2024 if it come back and be a part of it. So I want to spend a lot of time talking about that conference and try to have people on that participated in the conference. So you can go back to last season, season 7, and spend a lot of time talking about that conference. So Dr. Olympia, I got it right? I said right.
You got it right. Perfect.
O'Neale-White, how you doing?
I am doing good, Bass. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. People butcher my name for years, and it's like, no, I can't be butchering other people's names. So people still butcher my name, so it's like, no, I gotta get it right.
And I appreciate you making that effort.
it's,
You got it right. But if it ever gets a little too hard, listen, Dr. O, we can keep it moving like that.
it's all good. Now I'm glad we were able to connect, make this happen, and kind of we got a lot to talk about.
Absolutely. Yes. I'm ready to get started. I am definitely a fan of the podcast. So
I
to be
appreciate it.
awesome.
Yes. So for those who don't know who you are, what let people know who you are, what you do in our wonderful, interesting space of social work.
Bet. So, of course, as you said, my name is Dr. Olymphia O'Neale-White. I am a clinical social worker, educator, and I do a lot of public speaking and education. I own my own business called Through My Lens Consulting Services. And the focus of TMLCS is to support social work students and professionals with professional development and career enhancement, so to speak. And I do that through 3 different ways. I provide education, I provide support with professional documents, and then I provide education and guest lecturing or speaking opportunities on a number of subjects. Throughout my time, I've spoken on things like imposter syndrome, reproductive justice or reproductive healthcare challenge. I've also provided information on resume revamp, something we don't really talk about too much in social work,
Hmm.
applying to federal opportunities as well as entering academia. So I provide a lot of different services there. I also provide one-to-one hourly consultation.
Uh, that's 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 a whole lot right there, and a lot of stuff that's needed in our field.
Yes, your vision, my pleasure.
Now you mentioned the resume, and I know for the last couple years, definitely 2023, really seen some steam in terms of macro social work, kind of really probably like the most that I've ever seen
Mhm.
macro social work being in. And you mentioned the resume revamp. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Oh my goodness. So, long story short, I remember, I dare say that I operated from a space of privilege. I am military affiliated, so
Mm,
it's a little easier, I guess, for me to get into federal opportunities or state opportunities because of that background. A lot of my colleagues, I remember when I was in school, wanted to get into these same environments and they struggled. And I never really understood why. It just kind of went over my head. I remember working at the VA some years ago and having a lot of colleagues saying they were just having trouble getting past the initial hiring process, with the VA, getting stuck
Mm-hmm.
at certain points or their application not being referred to the hiring manager. And I decided to do something about it. So that action was me helping social workers edit or create entirely new resumes. And what I found out initially, I was just trying to help folks, and then it turned into a whole operation. Because what I found out was that social workers have no idea what to put in a resume. We are great at talking up our clients. We are great at talking up the communities that we work in or the organizations that we are a part of, but we are not too great at talking big upping ourselves.
That is
We're
so
not really
true.
good
I'm guilty of that.
you know like we so a lot of social workers I interacted with really just struggled in putting their words or the things they do in their 9 to 5 on paper. And then they also struggled in what's important. What does a hiring manager or HR representative need to see in order to know that I'm qualified? What are the trigger words? What are the things? So I ended up providing the actual service where I actually create documents for social workers, but I also have a resume revamp course that I designed, which is basically a 2.5 intensive course where I teach social workers what needs to be in the resume, what's relevant, how is it different from a CV, what hiring managers are looking for, how to make sure your resume is picked up for, so you get picked up for an interview. So that's the resume revamp that
Mm.
I do with TMLCS.
What What are some of the things hiring managers and recruiters are looking for in as
Amazing.
2023, 2024?
I mean, listen, so what I've noticed this year particularly is just post-COVID, a lot of folks want to see flexibility and intentional expansion of learning. So they want to know, hey, how are you making yourself more accessible to the organizations or to the clients, right? What does that look like? What projects have you been a part of? What initiatives have you spearheaded? And oftentimes social workers, when I'm doing consultation, they'll tell me really quick, oh, I don't have any experience with that. And when you start peeling back the layers, I say, okay, describe your day to me. Talk to me about what things look like. Are you working on anything right now with your colleagues, with a interdisciplinary team? Are multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary, and then you have
Mm.
social. Oh yeah, we do this, that, and the third. I'm like, you're all the things you say you don't do. You just told me about. You're doing them. So now all we have to do is put it on paper. So they're looking for not just, hey, I'm a social worker and I can work. Hey, I'm a social worker and I'm versed in these particular skills. I have these particular credentials and I have the ability to collaborate and educate. That's a big thing in 2023. And I think it's going to continue to be a thing going into 2024.
Mm. That's good to know as people start continuing to make the shift and COVID. You know, COVID. We just now seeing that the after effects of COVID. I do like to ask, guests, since we're coming up very quickly on the 4-year anniversary of the shutdown. I
Mhm.
can't believe it's been a whole 4 years.
Ooh, and 4 years has it been?
four 4 years felt like 50.
Man. Hey, quite a bit since COVID. COVID has done a lot, I think, for the social work profession, good and bad. It's done a lot, and just the tragedy that it was, it's impacted our communities a lot. But it's definitely, I think, made folks, I will dare to say, stakeholders, policymakers, organizations see the importance of social workers and what we do and how we serve our communities.
No, I've seen that a little bit more. I've seen it more online than actually kind of experienced that. But I could definitely see that at least be like, oh wow, social worker, like like we need you, or like
It's the
you
we
need
need,
us, but you gotta pay us.
right? It's the we need you for me. Like that has definitely happened. Oh, we need y'all. Mm-mm.
The the salary got to match the need, though.
And you know what? Slowly but surely, I think there's a shift happening in social work, and I've seen it over the years, but I think 2023 it has just been really profound, where organizations are starting to realize, ooh, we have to pay these social workers, not just and usually people hear and they immediately go to clinical social workers,
Mm,
not realizing we're talking about generalist practitioners, we're talking about researchers, we're talking about macro level social workers. We're talking about everyone. Like social work in general deserve to see the coin after these letters we have earned. And I think 2023 has yielded that, especially with the new policy dropping of what is it, Medicaid, Medicare, actually reconsidering how much they're giving to social workers for practice now, like
oh,
in
really?
amount. Yeah. When that policy came out, I was very happy. I was like, great, wonderful, because we deserve to be compensated a little
No, of
heavily
course.
too. And that's something I've been singing in the world of social work for years. So I'm really excited to be a part of the change.
Yeah, mm, I like I, I like that policy, especially I've been harping like crazy on the disaster that the Medicaid recertifications and renewals have been this year since like April 2023 to going into the new year, and people losing their Medicaid, and people be careful for anybody getting Social Security money, that $40-$50 can make a difference between somebody being on Medicaid 2023 to 2024 being not qualified, and now you got to scramble to apply for Obamacare for the
Right. Listen, it's a lot out here, and I will say definitely there's a lot of policy work that needs to be done, but that's one thing they possibly got right this time. Come on, 2023 success stories.
so going back to COVID real quick, like when pandemic happened, like how was that for you? Like how for 4 years later, I don't sound like a politician. Are you better off 4 years ago compared to how you was in pandemic?
No, and what I will say is that if COVID didn't do nothing else, it definitely expounded on my grad school education, okay? COVID forced me and many, many other social workers to kind of look at income versus outcome and also redefine what self-care and boundaries looks like.
Mm,
Pre-COVID, I will admit, and it's very funny because I teach things like the importance of boundaries and self-care now, but once upon a time I had none. Okay. I was
mm,
the social worker that I'm at work all day, every day. If a client needs me, I'm making a shake. If I gotta stay a little late, if so be it. I was willing to bend over backwards to kind of make things shake for the clients that I served. And I'm still willing to do that. I'm just willing to do it within the parameters of my boundaries.
right.
So if that means, I get off at 4:30, don't call me at 4:36 and think I'm gonna answer this phone. If that means in order for me to live and function, I need X amount of income. Don't expect me to entertain a job offer that doesn't offer me what I need to
Mm,
to thrive and be good in the community. Don't negate the work that I'm doing by not recognizing my efforts. Not saying I need to have an award every 2 weeks, but make sure you're acknowledging myself and other change agents within the organization that are doing what they need to do. So I definitely developed stronger boundaries after COVID. It was a tough lesson.
not an important lesson that it was just a lot, and I know many of us actually risk our lives to serve clients, and I was part of that, and doing home visits and losing clients, and it was just a lot that happened.
Losing clients, losing coworkers, and I know during that time I was working with the homeless population. So it was just a really tough time. Not just in my career, but I guess in social work in general, it was really tough because we were encouraged to go, 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 but we were not encouraged to do self care. And I'm happy they realized the importance of self care and
Mhm.
implemented it into the code of ethics. But ugh, I hate that it took a pandemic
Yes.
for that.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
But we here now. We making it work.
We here now, we making it shake. We did not allow that experience to just be an experience. It was definitely a lesson.
And COVID made this podcast like was popping. The ideas, the flight of ideas was popping in my head, despite all my losses. It was like meeting people, using the podcast as a networking tool to meet
And
social
you know
workers throughout
what?
the country, and it was crazy,
I think
a
we
wild ride.
I think networking just really like tuned up
Mm-hmm.
during the pandemic because we were all homebound. Besides
Exactly.
work or what we had to do, no one was out in the streets like that. No one was traveling. No one was. So we had to be more intentional with networking.
Mm-hmm.
I will admit, I think that's when a lot of the shift in social work started changing, or started happening. Like social workers started really realizing, oh wow, wait, or at least I did. We have what we need in our profession to feed ourselves. I think that's when that aha happened for me, and I started seeking
Mm-hmm.
out other social workers for a multitude of different things. Hey, what social workers have businesses? Hey, what social workers serve in the financial realm? What social workers, serve in passion topics that I have, perinatal, reproductive work? What other career oriented social workers are there? I can't be the only one, you know? And I think that networking really expanded during that time.
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Was it Clubhouse?
That was the one thing I didn't do was Clubhouse. By by the time I got on Clubhouse, because it took me switching from Android to iPhone, and then everybody left Clubhouse for the most part. By the time I got on,
Listen, I was on there real regular. I had the privilege of meeting so many awesome social workers on there.
mm,
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, no, I was still on Twitter before Elon jacked it up.
Well, you said it, not me.
Elon has a. I got the Tesla stock, but you messed up the Twitter. Cause
Oh
Twitter,
my
social
goodness.
work Twitter was popping.
Oh my goodness. And of course you referenced stocks, right? So one of I think okay, so with TMLCS again, I guess because I cover so many things, sometimes I forget to talk about the financial part, which is how we came to be, how we met at
Yes,
the Social
yes,
Work Wealth Conference.
yes.
Um,
We're gonna get into the conference. So go ahead.
so one of the things that I started during COVID was social workers in stocks Facebook group. That was
Mm,
one of the things that I started, because I know I wasn't very versed in stocks, but at the time I had a partner and then friends that were extremely into that, and they weren't social workers, but even still, they're really into it, and they're
mm,
like, "Yeah, kicking and screaming, we're dragging you into this, right?" And it was just like a whole new world got
mm,
exposed to me during that time. So I started this group because I was like, I know I'm not the only social worker that knows nothing about stocks. I started pursuing the financial social work certification during that time to get,
mm.
more aware on what these different things are. And when I tell you the relationship people have with money is so interesting, but I'll leave that alone. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that group is, oh, it's booming. It's awesome. A lot of social workers are in there.
You got to
Folks
put me on.
Listen, you know what? I will definitely share the link with you for any social workers listening. If you're interested in stocks, I don't do as much posting now, of course, as I did during COVID, but I always encourage folks to scroll through over the years. So many social workers have put in some great resources, great information, connections in there, just talking about stocks and how to build different forms of wealth, even as a social worker.
Mm,
So it's called Social Workers in Stocks. It's a Facebook group. Feel free to add yourself if you're interested.
I'm writing this down. I'll just wait because I'm out. Because that's one of the things I actually was skills I got into the stock market during COVID as well, and it kind of like just started putting some money in and kind of see and learning about custodial accounts and like this is what I've been waiting for for the
Uh-uh.
last like 6 years. I'm like trying to got some money for the kids, and it's like, what do I do with this money? And it's like you could open a custodial account for your kids. Like, oh,
It's the
finally.
aha moment. Listen, 2019, 2020 was definitely some challenging
Mm,
times, but they yielded a lot of growth
yes.
for me, especially, but I think just overall for the profession, wow. And then it just kind of seeped over. So I know with 2023 this year, being blessed with the opportunity to do a breakout room for the Social Work Wealth Conference and just talk about manifesting your dreams and your career aspirations in social work. That was awesome. My co-host was absolutely amazing, great psychologist. I love speaking with her and working with her, and just kind of telling folks what it looks like to manifest.
Mm,
Uh, Not just sometimes folks get too wrapped up in the whole planning. Oh, I'm going to get this degree. I'm going to get this job. I'm going to be in this place. And then life is going to go happily ever after, not accounting for, life.
yes, exactly.
And so just kind of talking about what manifestation looks like and having planning, but more so having a plan that's firm enough to get you where you're going, but loose enough that it can be shifted if life happens.
You got to be flexible. If not, you're gonna be super stressed out.
Listen, going right back to what they need to see in the resume, flexibility.
Now, for people who don't know what you just talked about, because there was a lot of people who didn't know about it, even though it was posted like crazy. The social work wealth conference that took place that happened in October, right? Yeah, in October.
Yeah, in October.
October was popping month. It was like that was like my best month. Like forget my birthday month, the month before. Like October came in was like I was on fire. Then until November came, it was like you need to slow your roll.
Listen, you and me both, okay? Back-to-back presentations in October, but with the Social Work Wealth Conference, it was an amazing I want to say an idea, but obviously it was manifested into reality, right? So it
Mm,
was this amazing concept made by the rich social worker Eva Ford.
yes, shout out to Eva.
Yo, shout out to Eva, who has been talking about finances, wealth, and social work for years.
Mm,
Right? And she had this genius idea to put a conference together, get not only social workers, but just psychologists, LPCs, LMFTs, uh,
mm,
uh, financial folk, financial advisors,
mm.
different big organizations. We had Stedman Graham. Like, who knew Stedman was a social worker?
Exactly.
Like to have all these awesome change agents
And
in the room.
Stacy,
Stacey Madison, right?
yes.
Who is also a social worker, millionaire. Like this, it's so awesome to see that kind of debunking the myth. Again, social
Mm,
workers can make money. They can, and they can still do social work. The
mm.
question is what does social what have you limited yourself to see social work as, and what can you expand it to become? It was a beautiful conference.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I took PTO from the job. I was like, I'm doing this. I'm paid the money, and it was like, woo.
It
and
gave
and
everything
be
it was supposed to
and be
give.
and being a panelist. So shout out to Ava. Shout out to Catherine Moore for plugging me to do the podcasting piece, and then Tiffany and Matthew be part of that, and it was an amazing time. Got some good feedback on it, and manifesting into future panelist opportunities, panelist speaking engagements, hints. I got one in the pipeline. I'll be talking about it when it time when the time comes, I'll let
We're
the
excited for the announcement.
organization to shout it out first, and then I'll do my my shout out.
I know that's right. I'm excited for the announcement. Let me turn the alerts on for the social worker.
But how did you get put on to the social work wealth conference?
Oh my goodness. So I jokingly say that my dream is to become the Oprah of social work.
You
Um,
said that at the conference too.
Isn't that right? Listen, I'm a firm believer in manifestation. Um, and, that's my goal. So I take the time to get to know social workers, regardless of what aspect of social work they serve in. If we're talking about attorneys, financial social workers, whatever. And
Mm,
I've been plugged into Miss Eva Ford's work for a number of years, just
oh,
because she has a similar concept, a similar perspective. Get to know social workers regardless of what kind of social work we're talking about, and support them in growing. There, you can be a rich social worker regardless of where you're at. And so she knew about my work with TMLCS, and she was like, "Hey, career social worker." I'd like you to come and present. And it was a dream come true. It was a true
mm.
dream, because I was like, really? On purpose? You want me to talk to people on your behalf? Like, on purpose? I'm a little country and I talk a lot, right? She saw something that at the time I didn't see in myself. I
Mm.
worked with that awesome co-host of mine, and we brought a vision to life. It was amazing. So it was an invitation that I'm so grateful that I got, and I will be back next year.
Yes.
Whether I'm doing anything with the conference or whether I'm a participant learning, I'm here for it.
Yeah, it was words cannot be like there's not enough words to describe the whole experience from the beginning, not just being a panelist, just the whole thing, and just so many dope individuals, social workers, just killing the game, doing their own different things, and it's not. And many of them don't do clinical work, and it's just working out here in these social work streets, just killing the
Listen.
game right now.
And for me, it was so much. It was the wealth that was shared, and I always tell people that wealth, yeah, you hear it and people immediately think money, right?
Hmm.
Or some form of, they think money usually,
Hmm.
right? But when I say, hey, make sure you're sharing the wealth, and the wealth is not limited to the coin in your pocket, or your max limit on your card. Sometimes the wealth can be your knowledge, your connections,
Hmm.
your opinion. There's so many different aspects of wealth, and I feel like Eva knew exactly what she was doing with that conference. Amazing lineup. It went seamlessly, and they definitely shared the wealth.
No, absolutely, and like they say that your network is your net worth, and that conference proved it to a T in more ways than one.
That part. That part. That part. There's
So
the we.
2024, if Viva makes it happen, everybody needs to attend. Just
You
be in the room.
What I will say I learned, I'm not really, as silly as it sounds, I'm not really a social media type. Yes, but no. And so I learned that there is seriously power in presence. Just having that social media presence, and not just limited to Instagram, but
Right, it was on LinkedIn. Like I was
in
talking about it on the
TikTok,
podcast. I had Eva on
Twitter.
the podcast and like talking about it. I had Catherine Moore and we were talking about it because we did the panel together. I had Christina Broderick who came on the podcast talking about it. So shout out to Joy Bridge. She's been on the podcast before. She was a part of it. So there was just a lot of dope people who been doing amazing things even way before pandemic, and like we just really saw it during pandemic. And it's like Joy did a whole tour, and it's like I went to go see Joy.
And when I tell you I was so high,
She got me thinking about doing the live show.
Listen, when I tell you I wanted to be there, oh, so bad, I ended up in a training and I couldn't go to the show that I scheduled to go for, but I saw the pictures, I saw the videos. I was like, "Man, we are doing things in social work."
Mhm.
It's
I,
amazing
I
just to
wanted to go back home to see New York, but I was like, you're in Maryland. Is closer to where I've been, and the way the gas prices were, or like that. Let me go. Let me just
listen.
go. Let me go to the neighboring state instead of trying to go be cute and go back home.
Yeah, yeah, but you know what? I'm really hope fingers crossed 2024, if I had to make my New Year's wishes, I hope that Joy Britt does another US tour. I hope that, maybe you guys consider doing something together, doing something separate. I don't know. I'm here for the conversations. Uh, and I really, really, really hope that the Social Work Wealth Conference comes back in
Yes. Well,
that is
it was supposed to be in person. It was supposed to be in Charlotte.
listen, my fingers are gonna be crossed that it comes back next year bigger than ever,
Yes.
and it's
Well, it
in
will be bigger.
so exciting. And
Yes.
then, I know I also had the privilege of going to the Black Girls in Social Work Conference,
Oh, how was that? That was in Dallas, right?
it
Was it?
was in Atlanta.
Oh, that conference. Yeah, 'cause I know there was a big one in Dallas too.
It was awesome. Shout out to Bodiqua, CEO of Black Girls in Social Work. That thing was amazing. I was a vendor there, just getting
Mhm.
the fellowship, getting the network, getting to hear about what so many different social workers again are doing in the field and how we're enacting change. It's always so good to just hear about people's different career trajectory and where they came from and how they got there. Oh my goodness, and just see where they're at now. Like, wow, this is where you started from the bottom, retrospect, and
Right.
now
Exactly. Shout out to Aubrey for that.
yes, say thank you. Even though you stole my initials, I'm gonna let you be great. OVO.
uh, oh, what a great way to part of season 8 just with a lot of laughter. We got to laugh because it's been crazy. Who knows what? Uh, if y'all listen to the second to the last episode of season 7, I gave my prediction. my contra, you can go but controversial, but
Just a
contra-
lot of it.
just a
Well,
little, just a little bit.
yeah.
if, you, if you ever watch 24, the show.
Um, so what I hear you saying is bookmark episode and make sure I see what you talking about, what these controversial moments were.
I don't want it to happen and put it out there, but I was like, it's something that I think might happen and won't be surprised if it does happen. It's just
Listen,
it's just
in this
craziness.
moment, I'm gonna drink water and mind my business, but I'm gonna read to the episode. So, it's so fast. What are your thoughts?
So I know you touched on this, but no, no, we could talk about the social work wealth conference forever because
True,
it was that
true,
damn good. But
right.
describe the rest of 2023 for you, like how, and it's not a one word answer.
Listen, 2023 was a lot, okay? For those that follow my work, they know, okay? But for those that do not, I finished up my, research this year. I defended, I received my doctorate this year.
Okay,
So
Doc, congratulations.
listen, thank you. I really appreciate that.
That's
So
right, Dr. White.
2023, man, it was a whirlwind, okay?
What
And
school do you went to?
I went to the University of Kentucky. I did
Okay.
practice doctorate at the DSW.
Shout out to Dr. J with with his self care tweets.
Listen, go ahead, Dean Miller. He be on it. He be on it. And I appreciate my yeah, it was my first time attending a PWI, first experience, definitely different. But in that difference, I had some amazing classmates. We learned together, we grew together, we cried together, we our hairlines receded together a little bit. and somehow we made it. So there are so many of us, and that graduated, and it's such a beautiful thing because a lot of us are first in so many different ways. First generation
Hmm.
doctoral level education, first, generation college education at all, first,
Hmm.
person to, do a public speaking engagement, first person to publish, within the class. We had so many firsts and it was so
Hmm.
beautiful. So yeah, that experience was everything. And then it felt like the show just could not stop rolling from there. Um,
Hmm.
Speaking engagements. I got the privilege to speak for NASW, uh, North Carolina. Shout out to the Oslo County LPU. They allowed me to do some education surrounding reproductive healthcare challenge and social work ed. So
Hmm.
just educating social workers on how to serve these populations, where the gaps are, how we can basically work ourselves into a little bit more work with a lot more pay, and help people along the way.
Hmm.
So that was amazing. And Social Work Wealth Conference, speaking there, speaking with Cummings Graduate Institute at their conference. Wow, it was a lot, and already have 4 to 5 things lined up for next year. So
Wow.
it
How,
was a good year.
how did that come about?
The speaking
Yeah,
or
the
the
speaking engagement, because for people who like, well, for myself, but other people who listen, like, hey, I want to do more speaking engagements. Like, is there a trick to it? I know there's always proposals and stuff. Like, what, like, is it like a
so
resume looking for keywords and stuff? Like what?
Listen, so let me tell you something. Number one, I'm a firm believer. I jokingly tell people I didn't choose social work. Social work chose me. And a lot of the aspects attached to social work, the education, the public speaking, a lot of the things that I do, they are natural, and I high key did not choose these things.
Mhm.
It kind of, I'm not going to say it fell into my lap, but when you, I guess, when you take the time to network, again, that Oprah mindset I have, right? I want to network, I want to get to know social workers, I want to help where I can. And me and that natural spirit just had folks that knew of me, they knew of my
Mhm.
research, or they knew of the work that I did, so they had my name said in rooms that I wasn't in.
Mhm.
So by the time I got an offer, come to find out that one social worker that I talked to months ago put my name in the hat. You know,
Mhm.
like, so sometimes, yes, it's very important to have your documents aligned, and I would love to talk about that. But sometimes it's also about who you know and how you invest in
Mhm.
them. I say every interaction is an investment, not monetarily, but just
Yeah.
genuine, right? Invest wisely. Don't unnecessarily, there's no, why are we competing with, we're not competing with social workers. We all here trying to do the same gig. We trying to make the world better. How can
Yeah.
you help them? How can they help you? How can
Mhm.
you build a genuine connection? Invest wisely, because you may be investing in yourself and you don't even realize
Yeah. Exactly.
it. Mhm.
Yeah.
Uh,
Cause even it's a perfect
yeah.
example. Even like the podcasting what I did, Catherine, like that. That completely, like, the conference was like 2 days before the conference, and like it was like, oh, Catherine like mentioned you to try to do something together. I was like, oh snap, yeah, hell yeah, I do it. So I already took the days off. Like, I,
Wow.
and then like
Listen, and sometimes
then
that's how it goes.
literally like a day later, it was like, oh, it was like, we got one more panel. Like, can you do it? It was like with Tiffany. I'm like, I know Tiffany, and like I know of her, but like, and then kind of connected and did it. It was like, you're right. Like, literally, Catherine lives all the way in California, so it was like,
Listen, sometimes it's about that. Like, we build network all the time. I jokingly tell
hmm
clients when I'm working with them, because I'm like, how important is it for you to know the social worker that does the job you don't know or you don't do? Let's be honest. How much do we refer? How much do we
hmm
provide resource for another agency organization that
hmm
does something to help out a client? Networking is exactly that. That's networking.
yeah,
That's what we do. We do it inherently. So I tell folks, don't just network for your clients. Sometimes you network for the progression of our profession. What does it look like
or
for
for
you
yourself in your career, your own
or for
career.
yourself in your career, right? Professional networking is so important. So one of my shameless tips and plugs, I tell every social worker, if you don't have a LinkedIn, you should.
Hmm.
That's like one of my top tips. You should have a LinkedIn. It should be up to date. And your LinkedIn should be hyperlinked in your professional documents, your resume or your CV, depending on, where you're at. If you do a lot of speaking, maybe consider having a separate CV in comparison to just a resume because your CV is more inclusive, right? You talk about research, any book reviews, any presentations. You can really go into depth, about the work you do in a private practice or maybe a business you have.
For
You
those
can
who don't know what a CV is, what is that?
yeah. So I jokingly say, depending on your country grammar, because I got plenty of it, right? Curriculum vitae or curriculum vita, right? It's basically a document that covers the lifespan of your professional career and accomplishments. So
Mm,
it doesn't just focus on, resume is 8 to 10 years. And it's specific to a certain trade skill or opportunity. CV is not necessarily specific to anything and it covers the lifespan. So you can go 10, 20 years back on a CV and keep all that information. Whereas on a
mm,
resume, 8 to 10 years, you need to start cutting stuff.
yeah.
Right? So it just gives you the ability to market yourself and market yourself as a subject matter expert easier because it allows you to really speak to all the experiences and opportunities that you have.
Mm, I like that. See, I'm always learning something on the podcast too.
Yeah.
I don't always ask questions for the audience. I be straight up and ask something for me too
Listen, I know that's
to
right.
help everybody else too.
You gotta get it where you get it.
No, I told it's so funny because I told my wife like you want to learn because she graduated with her speech language pathology degree and is licensed in Delaware. So I was like, you need to get on LinkedIn and open a LinkedIn account. So I'll be pushing gonna be pushing her hard. Like you
Mhm.
did you
I'm
do
a
it yet?
firm
Because
believer. I'm a firm believer, because LinkedIn and it's not, not to put down any other social media platform because I know in today post COVID, right? A lot of organizations, businesses, private practices, a lot individuals that do more speaking engagements and things. They're using social media as a business marketing tool, which is beautiful. They should.
yeah.
But LinkedIn is quite literally a social media platform that was created for the professional person. It's quite literally that platform.
Mhm.
Why not use it?
Right.
You know,
And it's
and
not buttoned up like it used to be. And I think COVID played a part in that because everybody was all like, gotta be all on your best behavior on LinkedIn, and you go you go on IG and you wild out, you be your regular self. But now it's more, yeah, it's still depending how you use it and who you trying to connect and network with, but you could be vulnerable and at somebody like Shayna Ruffin, who I also had on the podcast, and she posts
yes,
all her
Shara,
stuff.
yes.
Yeah, so she just posting and it's just literally and became like a a
The
voice, like
top social worker or voice
yeah,
of
a voice exactly. That's what I'm trying to get at. Yeah, so it's like things are happening literally in real time, day in day out, and it's just we got to be in these spaces and like be tired and like and somehow make the time somehow to do stuff on top of everything else that we go to that we do day in day out, and just not just business but our personal lives, and we got families we got to take care of, and
I make
it's a
it my
lot.
to really talk to social workers about the importance of especially once you get to the graduate level, right? I mean, I understand bachelor's level social work, got it. But once, let's the terminal degree is of this moment is the MSW.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, at the master's level, we no longer just paying bills. We're and in today's society, we're seeking self-actualization in our work.
Mm-hmm.
You want to feel fulfilled. You want to feel like you're getting up to make a difference,
Mm-hmm.
but you also want to feel like you're answering your heart's calling to a certain extent, right? But you deserve to be compensated for doing it.
Exactly.
Okay, so just one of life's calling, one of the missions, just teaching social workers about the importance attached to that. What does it look like to negotiate your salary at a job offer? What does it look like to explore different realms of social work that might not have been taught in school, like veterinary social work, corporate social work, sports?
Sports social work. You took the word right out of.
You
I wish
know,
somebody would have said sports social work in 2010 to me, because I
and I
my
tell
wife at the time would not have been happy, but may God rest her soul, but she would have not been happy about it. But I would
I
have been like, "What? Sign me up."
Listen, like there are so many different avenues of social work that, are untouched, perinatal, or
Mhm,
reproductive focused social work.
mhm,
Like these are actual realms of social work that compensate that compensate
mhm,
well, that you can fulfill yourself, you can grow in, and we are still serving people. Um,
mhm,
you know, and of course, I say just like everybody isn't built to be a social worker,
mhm,
everybody isn't built to do a specific kind of
mhm,
social work. Not every social worker is built to be in child welfare or adult protective services. Not every social worker is meant to be a clinician.
mhm.
Not every social worker is meant to do the macro oriented stuff where we're talking about policy and all. Not every social worker is meant for that. So just
But
having
don't
the
be afraid to do it.
yes, having the room to explore what is available, and then after exploring, diving into it head first.
Mhm. No, no, man, child welfare. I say it all the time. Like, I learned so much from child welfare. Something simple as like job security, because it was it was so cutthroat that you had to like watch your back, and like people talking behind your back. It was just like, to mental health, substance use, like just family systems in general, and it's just everything. And getting paid, like if I told you if I told you the amount I was getting paid to do child
Listen,
welfare when I first started, you would not believe me.
let me tell you something. I ain't gonna say I wouldn't believe. I will say that now I'm noticing certain states are starting to finally get their wits together and realize if you pay your DSS or social services social workers, there's so much more motivation. Shout out to North Carolina because that's the first
Mhm.
organization I've seen pay their DSS social workers 80s 90s.
Oh
Like
wow.
they don't play 70s, 80s, 90s. That's okay. Okay. All right. Wow. So you guys actually compensate you fairly compensate your social workers. So
Mhm.
getting into those organizations is very hard because people actually want to
Mhm.
be there. They feel like they're doing the work.
And who's gonna leave there if you you're at a
I'm
state
actually
job
doing
making that money? Why would you
it and
leave?
I'm doing this, I'm really making a difference. Ain't going nowhere. Right?
Exactly.
Federal social work. There's so many people hear federal social work, and I have so many. Oh, I want to work at the VA. The VA isn't the only federal organization that hires social workers.
I
What
saw a
about?
job posting today for the FBI.
I was just about to say, what about the FBI? What about the CIA? What about state or county government? What about the military? So many opportunities.
Mhm. No, it's true, and even going back real quick and turning like network for yourself, like we spent a lot of time doing referrals. I remember a job. Um, I had one job. I was you know going to see clients at an outpatient clinic, and seeing patients who were now they call it SPME, population and meeting them in the community and seeing them in their outpatient mental health therapy appointments. And sure enough, years later, end up working in that same clinic. They just moved to another building. So it was like when I went for the job interview, I was like, oh, y'all used to be down here in this street and y'all moved over here. And cause I was seeing clients over here. So like I already knew like the ins and outs a little bit of the organization because y'all had moved 2 or 3 different jobs and the job that I just left, like, I was referring clients to you guys. So like I'm already gonna have like if you hire me, I could potentially have already had clients that I already seen and I already know. So like what's good?
Listen, and you know what? That's its own topic in itself. I don't wanna distract us, but you said the job you left. I'm sitting here like, for some reason, social workers be scared to leave jobs in 2023. Let's not take that energy into 2024, okay? Um, your favorite career consultant here. It is okay to have a time frame attached to opportunity. It is okay to say that I'm going to invest as much time, energy, and everything else into this opportunity until it no longer serves me. And it serving you can look like so many different things. It can
Mhm.
look like financially serving you. It can look like networking opportunities. It can look like you no longer being fulfilled in the work. It can look like maybe it no longer geographically serves you. Maybe you feel like you would be more successful, working remotely, or maybe it's too far from the house because, as you said, fast gas is high.
Exactly.
Maybe, this thing no longer serves you. And if that's the case, don't be scared to make a move just because you've been there for a little while. What I tell my
Or a
clients is,
short while.
listen, if you're not going to retire from this opportunity, doesn't that mean there's a timestamp attached to it?
Mhm.
So when you look at it that way, oh, well, are you prolonging the obvious? It's gonna happen, the question is when.
Mhm.
So, let's not take that energy into 2024, you guys, Make sure if it's time to go, it's time to go. Go on, type your notice up and, have it prepared in the case you decide to use.
I left jobs after like 2 to 4 months. So it's just like an opportunity came better, just be out.
Yeah, and do your exit interviews. Do your
If they
exit
let you do
if they
them.
let you know, if they let you do 'em. But usually per policy, they should be allowing you the opportunity to do those exit interviews, and if they do your exit interviews. Be honest. If it was simply time for you to move forward into another opportunity, say that. Hey, job was great, job was wonderful, no longer served my professional development needs, right? Hey, no room for growth. Or if you need to give a hard truth, give a hard truth. Only way HR can make things better is if they know what's popping. Because they sit behind a particular office and do a particular job. Their job is to get people in, retain them, and then get them out when they're ready to go. That's it. So being honest with them about the experience that you're having in so many different ways is very important.
Absolutely. You already touched on 2024, but what else is popping for you? What you got going on this year?
Oh my goodness. Let me tell you something. 2024 is probably going to be just as busy as 2025. Or excuse me, 2023. That won't be a mess too. Let me not think far into the future. So 2024, I got quite a few presentations lined up. I will be speaking at a couple of NASW conferences, state conferences. I'm very excited. Those dates, as well as the specific states and conferences, will be listed. So follow me on IG at Through My Lens Consulting. You'll see me there in yellow. But I'll be doing quite a few NASW presentations. I do hope to present at two very large conferences, one being an international one. So keep your
Oh,
fingers
nice.
crossed for me, you guys. I'm excited about it. Um, and then I also am working on a huge project. I've been really quiet about it. I know as soon as I say this, folks are gonna be like, huh? And try to go. I am in the process of writing 2 books,
Oh, nice.
and they are set to debut next year, late fall. Oh my gosh, you guys, social workers, these are for you. This is not your everyday book. These are books focused on career progression and professional development in social work. So regardless of whether you're a social work student or a social work post-grad professional, there's a book for you. And so I'm really excited about the project. I plan on releasing the information on my social media pages in the new year. So you guys keep your eyes peeled for all of my handles. I will be releasing that information on there. These books are going to change lives. I'm ready.
Oh, awesome. Looking forward to that. Let me start saving my coins now to purchase the book.
Listen, okay, go ahead and
This,
prepare for that investment in self because it's going to be beautiful.
yeah, I already got some books already lined up to purchase for 2024. I just add that to the list.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
uh,
In my
that's
mind, in 2024, it's social workers versus everybody. Okay, like
sometimes it really be like that.
we are here to grow and go next year.
Sometimes it be social worker versus other social workers.
Oh no. Look, well, I'm gonna continue being the social worker, social worker. That one ain't me. I behind the plexiglass on that one. That ain't me.
No, it's not you, but sometimes it be like a civil war in the profession. Is like, what is happening?
But you know what though? I sit and I think, and what I do think about, right? I think about outdated practices
Mhm.
or maybe even outdated perspectives that are no longer serving the profession. I'm here to say right now, I don't know who came up with you're in it for the outcome, not the income. I don't know who came up with that, but no, it's time for you to retire and take a seat and stay there. It's time. The time has come. We are turning the page. We're in a new arena of social work, and you are not invited to this party. Just
Exactly.
stay back there. Social workers versus everybody. Okay, like no, we are here to really grow our profession, and I'm really excited of what 2024 looks like with that because it really seems like slowly but surely
Mm.
moving towards that. The new compact license dropping, that new policy related to Medicaid, Medicare, and being reimbursed a little higher. I feel like social work is we about to get we've always deserved the respect to a certain extent. We've always received respect, but I think in the new year we're going to see new level. There's going to be levels to it, and I'm very excited to see the upgrade.
Yeah, it's long overdue. I mean, it's way beyond overdue. It didn't
It
have to
really
take a pandemic to see
look,
that.
as Rihanna said, she said somewhere in that song, somebody better have her money. So yep.
Rihanna's literally single handedly her and her team is like ending Victoria's Secret. I'm surprised they haven't filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy yet, but it's over.
Listen, and in my mind, I'm so excited for what who is about to make these big grave changes in social work or as a whole generation because I feel like there's just generations of us that
Mm.
are banding together, figuring out that that networking, that connectivity is so important, connecting and then really just pushing
I
for
will say
better.
it's funny you mentioned. I will say this one thing, like us in type black and brown folks, like other Latinos, you know, West Caribbean blacks, like we have to come together more than ever before. Like together, we would just run these white folks out the building, make them go crazy. But we have to band together. It's not just like you know us versus them, and that's how kind of like society's always kind of been like put us against each other. But if we together, we there's a lot of like continuity, like you know within us, like a guy had with our some of our histories are very similar with past, and that comes with territorial from like back in the days and stuff. Like you learn your history, like we kind of we we part of the same a little bit. Obviously not. not taken with no slavery is a totally other different thing. That's sort of like another level. But I'm saying like, it, interchangeably, like you're from the Caribbean. I know my family's from the Caribbean, like part. We still the same part of the body of water, like Puerto Rico. Like I'm not far from Barbados. Like it's just all that to say is like we need to come more together, more than ever, because who knows
There's
what's happening in 2025. You said 2025. Who
there's
knows
some
what's going to happen?
policy happening in social work for sure. I will say that, and I think it's really great that our professional bodies, in their varying forms, are starting to see it. A lot of advocacy efforts happened this year. Not just I guess just thinking about it and reflecting back, NASW, CSWE, ABSW, and then I know there is a national association, I believe, for Latino social workers, and just the initiatives that came out of all these organizations and what they're trying to do. They're really trying to push for different and better, and it all boils down to decolonization within the profession.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things we make the mistake of doing in social work is we don't address the reality, which is that social work has its own underpinnings when we talk about the different isms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of which ism you want to pick out,
Right,
the
exactly.
different isms. And in order to make the profession better, we have to address all the isms.
Mm-hmm.
And something as simple as the gender wage gap, it's attached to an ism that
Mm-hmm.
social work. Social work originally was a female dominated employment opportunity, and now we're seeing awesome male social workers like yourself, making change, making noise, and we have to talk about the wage gap now,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like we have to talk about race. Why? Because
Yes.
so many different components of race play out in social work, right? We have to talk about that. How do policies negatively influence communities that look a certain way because they only touch those communities,
Mm-hmm.
right? The what oh, goodness, what is that initiative
or
they got?
or even or even educating our people who are what's the right word, the Caucasians, the poor Caucasians, like they poor income, and like all these policies that the Republicans are doing is like affecting them, but they like, yeah, I'm gonna vote for you, but they're the ones who being screwed without even realizing that. So it kind of goes both ways too.
Listen, and just thinking about the different things we do in social work, that almost the forgotten job descriptions, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
lobbying. You know, how many social workers today really consider that as a part of their job?
Mm-hmm.
Any, and the ones that do, usually they're macro oriented. They do a lot more of the advocacy and policy based work. So I think just with this shift, stepping into 2024, as social workers, we have to be prepared to pivot, not just within our organizations, but within ourselves and how we view the jobs that we do. All this stuff is interconnected. You are not just a social worker. Like, and if you see yourself that way, what is this? Challenge that narrative by saying, what is a social worker? What do we do? It's such a loaded statement. We do lobbying, we do education, we do
Mm-hmm.
policy work. Why? Because policy informs practice. Just considering the different aspects of social work that we do and making sure we're not half-assing our jobs.
Right. Or just even like understanding what is happening, politically, that it's going to affect us, not only us the workers, but also we're teaching our clients too. Especially, we have a lot of, I know I have a lot of documented clients, Haitian descent, like Guatemalans, and it's like just teaching them like, okay, this is what's happening in this country, in sort of a political landscape that may affect you, especially a certain somebody become president again. And it's like we need to figure out a game plan for you, what that's going to look like for you, or
And you know
potentially.
what? expanding our potential also, again, just kind of going outside your kind of ingrained belief of what social work is, expanding the box. If you have a box, okay, fine. Let's make it a little bigger, because you referencing that, I just went on Instagram today and there was a social worker advertising a course for immigration services.
Mm.
Atta- being a mental health provider that does that kind of work and what it looks like to help somebody through gaining citizenship or permanent party status and all that. So like, what, as social workers we can do that?
Mm.
Yes.
Mm.
Expanding the box a little bit. If it's something that interests you or something that you feel a fire lights on the inside about, just because it doesn't exist doesn't mean it won't be lucrative and it won't be progressive and it won't work. If it don't exist, make it. And if it does exist, see how you can learn more about it to start doing it.
Mm. There's a lot of things we could do, hence podcast hosts, authors. And since I got 2 books myself, like, trying through pain, how to maximize your full potential in hard times, poetry book, co-author of the international award-winning Latinx and Social Work Volume 2. So
Listen, and please
we out
know,
here.
I'm about to put this poetry book in my car, okay? Because every social worker needs a good poem. And that self-expression is everything. So please know it's going in my Amazon cart. Time now.
I appreciate it. where where can people find you? I know you mentioned earlier, but let's give the handle one more time.
Yes, you can find me on LinkedIn, Dr. Olymphia O'Neale-White. I'll be there in yellow. Okay, you can also find me on Instagram at Through My Lens Consulting. I'll be there in yellow as well. Same or similar picture on Facebook, Through My Lens Consulting Services. Of course, if you have any, if you're interested in services, whether it be individual professional development services, just hourly consultation, any of the training courses I offer, public speaking engagements, or if you need your resume fixed so we can get this new job in this new year, right? Go ahead and hit me up. You can hit me up on any of my social media handles. You can also send me an email through my lens consulting at gmail.com.
Awesome. We can keep talking for forever, but no. I know the Zoom gonna like cut us off soon. So it's like no, it was a pleasure talking to you. And
It
we'll
was
definitely be talking
amazing.
soon.
Yes, thank you for having me.